What's up, internet friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay, and today I'm talking about all the books I read in January and December last year. Yes, I realize it's February. I don't care. I want to talk about these books. So I read 12 books in the month of December and January, so I have quite a few to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I get started on these books, I'm going to tell you there is a giveaway today. It's my very first giveaway ever. And I'm going to tell you all about it at the end of the video. So if you wait till the end of the video, like everyone says, or just skip ahead like, smart people do, you can see all the details on how to enter my giveaway. All right, so I'm going to go through all the books that I read in December and January. I'm going to tell you about them, and I'm going to start with my least favorite book and work my way up to my favorite book from those 2 months. My least favorite book of those 2 months was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This book is a contemporary young adult book that talks about mental illness and not much else, to be honest. Follow our main character, Asa, and she has OCD. I'm not sure how well the rep is in this book since I don't have OCD myself, but if you're interested, check that out. But Asa and her best friend decide that they're going to hunt down this missing billionaire because there's a cash reward. The reason why they think they can succeed is because Asa used to know his son, who is now, I guess, abandoned now that their dad has disappeared. It's just his two sons living on their own in this big mansion. So Asa and her best friend decide to go over to his house and kind of make a little investigation on the disappearance of his dad. This book really wasn't my favorite because the searching for a billionaire plot just was, to be honest, boring for me. And I really just didn't care for the story. I didn't care for the characters. I know our main character was going through a lot, but she was just too unlikable for me. This wasn't for me. I'm happy if you guys liked it, but again, just not for me. So I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Near Witch by Victoria Schwab. I don't have a copy of it, so I'll put it up here. This was interesting. It's a fantastical YA story that I think Victoria Schwab, I think this is one of her first books that she tried to get published or something like that, or it was published and now it has just been republished since she's gotten all big and famous. This story follows our main character, Lexi, and she lives in a small village where witches and magic are part of life. Well, one day a stranger comes to her town and all of a sudden all these kids start disappearing. The townspeople think it's the stranger who shows up just because he's mysterious and he kind of sticks to himself. So they start hunting down the stranger while Lexi teams up with the stranger to try to find out who's taking all these kids and how they can make it stop. I really went into this story with high hopes, but honestly, I was just not engaged the entire time. I was just saying, like, when is this going to end? It was... I don't know. It's hard to say. It was just a meh story to me. So meh. So The Near Witch I ended up giving 3 out of 5 stars. The next 2 books I'm just going to talk about together because they're in the same series, and that is Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson and Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th book in the series, and this is the 5th book in the Mistborn series. This is the beginning of the new characters, I guess. We're in the future, and we're following Waxford and Wayne. So they're both allomancers and ferrochemists, which is pretty rare. Allomancy is where you can ingest metals and burn them in your system for different powers. You can like slow down time or speed up time. You can get really strong, you can get really fast, you can persuade people's emotions, really, really cool stuff. And then a ferrochemist has the ability to store up abilities in metal. So it's usually like a bracelet or an earring or some sort of metal that they store their power in and they can use it at a later time. So Wax, for example, he has the ability to change his body weight so he can make himself really, really light or really, really heavy. It's a very simple skill, but it comes in handy a lot. So Wax is a nobleman who is called back to duty, basically. He's been out on the roughs playing lawman, rough and tough lawman. He's been called back to perform his nobleman duties, which is basically get married, produce an heir, take care of your estate, be a noble guy. And he's like, I don't want to do that. All I want to do is like go out on the roughs and shoot people up and arrest some bad guys with my buddy Wayne, who is, also a badass. So Alloy of Law was a really great start to the story and an introduction to the characters, and it was kind of like a preliminary bad guy kind of a thing, but you knew the really bad guy behind all of it was still to come in the next following parts of the series, which was exciting to read about. I gave Alloy of Law 3 stars just because it was familiar. I could predict a lot of the things that would happen, and nothing really like blew my mind. And then I gave Shadows of Self 3 stars because it was honestly too much like Alloy of Law. The plot was very similar. It just felt like we were following different bad guys, I guess, in the same kind of plot structure or plot happenings. I don't know how to speak. I love this series still, but these both got 3 stars for me because they were just like, okay. Let's see where you can go from here. The next book I read, I don't have a physical copy of, but I'll put it up on the screen again, and that is The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. I can't pronounce her last name, I apologize. But The Bride Test. Now, this has polarizing views where you either love it or hate it. This is the second book in the Kiss Quotient series. I read the first book, Kiss Quotient, and loved it. So, of course, I had to carry on and read The Bride Test as soon as it came out. This was a reread for me. This book in the series follows our main character, Kai, who is autistic, and I believe he's pushing 30 years old, but he's a very successful chief financial officer at a big accounting firm, I believe. I'm not sure. He's done very well for himself. Kai's mom is very proud of him that he's a successful businessman, but he doesn't have a wife yet, and she's getting impatient. So what she does is flies to Vietnam, and she tests a bunch of these women to see if any of them are potentially good enough for her Kai. So she meets Esme on her trip to Vietnam. She decides Esme's amazing and she'd be perfect for her Kai. So she offers to fly her back to spend the summer with Kai, go to a few weddings, and seduce him into marrying him. Esme doesn't have many opportunities where she comes from. She lives in the slums. And then she gets this amazing opportunity to go to America. And so she decides to take it. And by the way, these aren't spoilers. This happens all in like first chapter. So she takes this opportunity to go to America to better her life. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars just because there is a secret at the end of the book that is revealed that 1, I don't think should have been a secret at all. 2, everyone didn't really freak out that it was a secret. And 3, it was all just kind of, oh, okay, over and done with really fast. So I didn't care for that part of the book, but I just kind of forget it when I read it. Other than that, I love it. The 3rd book in the series is expected to come out in May 2021. I'll pop up a little picture of it. I can't remember the title right now. It escapes me. But yes, I will definitely be picking up the 3rd book in the series because I just love her writing so much. The next book I read, I'm so excited to tell you about, and that is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Talia Hibbert, I think. This is an adult romance novel following our main character, Chloe, Lindsay, it's in the title, following our main character, Chloe. Chloe is a plus-size, beautiful, confident woman who I have been dying to meet, and finally I get her in a book. I'm so excited. She is confident, she is sarcastic, she knows how gorgeous she is, she's organized, she has her stuff put together. She lives every day with chronic illness. Now, I don't live with chronic illness, and I don't know anybody who does personally live with chronic illness. So I can't speak to the rep in the book, but from my perspective, it felt very genuine and respectful, and it definitely opened my perspective to people who do live with chronic illness every day. It cannot be an easy thing, and I totally understand. There's some parts in this book where she's just like, not today, I can't deal with humans, I need to just kind of shut the world out, and I get it now. I understand a little bit better now. In the beginning of the story, Chloe has a near-death experience, which her life flashes before her eyes, and it's actually kind of funny. She says it was very boring. She wants to change it. So she decides she's going to make a list of all of the dangerous and wild things that every adult should be doing and that she needs to do. So she makes this list, and things on the list are like ride a motorcycle, go camping, travel, have meaningless sex with somebody. And so she's made this list and she's decided she's going to do it, but she probably needs help. And in walks Redford Ford. So Redford Ford is the landlord of the apartment complex that Chloe lives in. So Chloe decides that Red would be the perfect guy to help her complete all of the things on her bucket list, I guess. So she enlists the help of Red, and Red is this caring, sarcastic, kind of, bad guy on the outside, but deep down he's like really a big softie. He's an artist, and it's really cute. There's scenes of Chloe spying on him while he's painting shirtless. And it's just adorable. It's the romance that sparks in this is just so warming and so sweet. I love it so much. So my absolutely favorite part of this story has to be Chloe. Let's spill the tea a little bit here. I'm sick of the hot mess main character female role where she just like couldn't balance a checkbook to save her life, and she's all over the place, and finally the guy comes in and he's super organized and helps her organize her life, and it's like, yeah, some people are like that, but not every single female role needs to be like that. So I was really happy that she makes lists, she is organized, and maybe it's to a fault, that she plans everything out and needs to have it written down. But I personally love writing lists and love being organized. So I just really connected with Chloe. And not to mention that Red is just so adorable and so steamy. I give this book 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. And it didn't get the full 5 stars just because my least favorite trope is in this book. And if it wasn't there, this would have been a 5-star out of 5 star. And I know that's a personal thing that, that's just not my thing. Get a life, Chloe Brown. I'm definitely buying a copy of this book as soon as I can. Okay, the next book I read was The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa K. Adams. This book follows our main character, Gavin, who is a professional baseball player who unfortunately just split up with his wife and is really down on his luck. His wife, Thea, they've been married for 5 years. They have 2 little girls together. He got kicked out of the house. Thea's at home with the girls. Everything's a mess, and he's pretty sure they're getting a divorce. Along comes another one of his professional baseball player buddies who is in this bromance book club. He decides to invite Gavin into their book club. In this book club, what they do is they read romance novels. They read a romance, they pick up tips on how to be better husbands and spouses and boyfriends or whatever you need. So Gavin is following this Duke and lady in a historical romance, and you get little snippets of the historical romance, which also mirrors what's happening in Gavin's life, which is really fun to see how those go. But he's following these tips and tricks to find out or to win back Thea. This book's unique just because it is a romance novel where the characters are already married and separated. So this is following how if they can even get back together. So I really love that perspective because I myself am married, and I already love reading about married couples and their issues because all married people have issues, sorry. Another thing I really loved about this story was that there were faults on both sides of the characters. This wasn't a one-sided, you fucked up the relationship and you're in trouble and you need to change or whatever. So this was both characters really needed to grow and change, and they both realized that, we were both kind of fucking up. That's how we got here, is we both made mistakes. And so I really appreciated that perspective, that it wasn't all one-sided. If you're interested in picking this up, definitely pick it up. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm pretty sure the second book to this series is already out. They follow like a murder mystery, but I'm not sure, but I'm definitely reading the follow-up to this one. I think only like 5 more books to go. This is a lot. The next book I read was from the library, and that was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This was a reread for me, and I don't know what to say. I truly love this book, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure because I know a lot of you probably don't like this, and I can see why a lot of people don't like this. The term baby doll may be overused, depending on who you ask. This follows our two main characters, Georgie Castle and Travis Ford. Georgie lives in a small town where Georgie and Travis grew up. Travis became a pro baseball player and left the town, and Georgie stayed in the town and opened her own entertainment business. And she is a birthday clown for hire. She loves it, and she loves the kids and the experience, and she's good at it. And it's just so warming. It kind of makes you want to be a clown yourself. In this town, her family owns a remodeling business, and her brother runs the business, the construction side of it. Her older sister does the design part of it. So Georgie didn't really have a place in the business. Her family doesn't understand her being a clown, and they don't really take her seriously. So unfortunately, Travis Ford has to come back to the small town because he injured himself and can no longer be a professional baseball player. The tabloids, the press, they all still follow him, and his reputation is just that of a playboy, and no one takes him seriously as well. So Georgie decides that Travis and her should team up and do a fake dating ruse so that they can prove to everybody that they should be taken seriously. I loved it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So if you haven't picked it up yet and it sounds interesting, definitely pick it up. The next book I read was a reread again, and that was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. In the beginning of the story, we meet Lucy, who is an executive assistant to one of the owners of a publishing house. Did that sound right? To an executive of a publishing house. And then we also have Josh, who is also an executive assistant to the other executive of the publishing house. So Lucy and Josh have to share an office for 40 hours plus a week, and they absolutely cannot stand each other. When they first met each other, they just didn't click. They butted heads immediately. So they play these games together to kind of pass time and to pick on each other and to push each other to these limits. It's like the HR game, or the what are you wearing game, or, well, that sounded sexy, but it wasn't sexy games. They're just poking fun at each other and just pushing each other all the time. Everyone knows they can't stand each other, but there is some sexual tension in this book that could be cut with a saber-toothed tooth. So the tension really starts building between the characters when Lucy and Josh start fighting for a promotion, which will in turn make one of them the boss of the other. So Lucy says if Josh ends up winning the promotion and is his boss, she's going to resign, but her goal is to win so that she can be Josh's boss. She's the nice girl in the office. She's out to prove that, the nice guy can succeed and be, in the corner office. But then she's also learning a bit from Josh to not be walked on. As a nice person in the office, you can get walked on quite a bit. So she's starting to stand up for herself, and there's really a good character arc with Lucy in this story that I just love. I'm ruined for life, and you should be too. 5 out of 5 stars. The last 3 books I'm going to talk about super fast because I've talked enough. And these ones, I think everybody knows about them, or I've talked about them quite a bit. And that is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Wow, I couldn't remember that. That's pretty pathetic. These are the 6th and 7th book in the Harry Potter series. This one absolutely destroyed me and broke me, of course. This one absolutely destroyed me and broke me, but then, of course, it's an amazing conclusion, and I love all the characters. It's Harry Potter. How could you not love Harry Potter? So I nailed out these bad boys in December and January, and that completed my reread of the entire series. So I'm probably going to do that again this year, not till November time when it starts getting around the holidays, but I really loved rereading these. It's one of my favorites. It's probably one of your favorites. Yes. The last book I'm talking about, and it again will be a fast wrap up. And that was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd book in the Mistborn series. I will stop talking about the Mistborn series, I promise. Maybe, I don't know. I do love it. This is the 3rd book in the Mistborn series, and it wraps up the original trilogy, or the initial trilogy. And we follow our characters Ellen and Vin and Spook and Sazed. And I can't really talk much about this because it is a conclusion, but it's an epic fantasy that I absolutely fell in love with. Again, we follow the Allomancy, where they ingest the metals for special powers. It's totally unique, totally fast-paced, kept me engaged the whole time. 5 out of 5 freaking stars. Okay, so that was all the books that I read in December and January. Thank you so much for watching all the way through the end, because now we get to the good stuff, which is the giveaway time. So like I said, I'm going to give a book away. And this book came from my own personal stack of books that I bought. I just didn't care for it, but I thought someone out there would really, really appreciate this book. And I'm really sorry about this, but this giveaway is only available for people who live in the United States. Postage reasons, like I can't pay more to send this book to somebody than I actually paid for it. So I don't know. That book I'm giving away to one of you guys is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. And like you can see, this is a signed copy. I bought this off of Book Outlet, so it wasn't very expensive. So I'm giving it to whoever. Like I said, signed copy. I'll show you the signature. It's super easy. So it's a signed copy. There's his signature. And yeah, it's, I didn't care for this story, but I know there's a ton of John Green fans out there. And if you want this book, if you don't have this book, I will send it to you for free if you live in the United States. All you have to do is comment down below, say, I want that book, please, and I'll get in contact with you and send it to you. The first person who comments, I want that book, gets the book. Simple as that. I only get, 30 to 40 views of video anyways, so I don't think it'll be that big of competition. First person to say it wins and gets it. That's all the books I read. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to comment for your free book. And if you missed out on the free book, I'm so sorry, but comment down below and say, hello, I want another giveaway. And I'll definitely keep that in mind if this is a fun thing. I love giving away stuff. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.